So far in 2025, I've run in 57 different pairs of running shoes with still a few more pairs to test. Now, out of those 57 pairs, 24 have made it to full review this year. That just means that I've run enough kilometers in those shoes to feel confident to give the shoe a score out of 50. Now, not all shoes make it to a full review. Some shoes I just don't rack up enough time in, and some shoes I just don't like. So I'm also going to cover at the end of the review shoes that have been a bit of a miss for me this year. But categories I'm going to cover today, so I'm going to name 3 shoes for daily miles, also the long run, max cushion shoes, so those versatile super trainers, and also race day shoes. And at the end we're going to talk about, or we're going to find out which shoe is the shoe of the year. But anyway guys, before we get into it, I just want to thank everyone out there that's watched a video of mine. Give me a like, they're a subscriber, and also dropped a comment. I really appreciate all the support that you guys have given me throughout the year, and let's get into it. So first up are daily trainers. So these ones are the workhorse rotation. They're pretty much gonna take up the majority of miles in your training week. They don't have to feel great at anything, but they need to tick a lot of boxes. Now the first one that I'll mention that I absolutely love this year, I don't have it with me, that is the Saucony Triumph 23. I love this update. Probably a little bit too expensive, but I love this new midsole foam. They've made the ride a little bit more flexible. They've made the foam a little bit softer. It's got some good springiness to it, but most of all, it is just super comfortable. The next one I'll mention is the Mizuno Neo Zen. So I reviewed this one really early on in the year, and I made the early call it might be shoe of the year for 2025. So not quite there, but it's certainly up there. This ride, probably one of the most fun shoes to run in of the year. This midsole foam, this Envy NXT, absolutely amazing. Super soft, super squishy, super bouncy. It's never a dull moment when you're running in this shoe. Some little downsides to this one, so it's probably a little bit unstable for some people out there, and also the upper also caused some fitting issues for some people. Last but not least, in the daily trainer range is the Puma Velocity 4. So almost shoe of the year for me, this one. So a little bit more of a narrow fit. Comes in at a crazy price point here in Australia at only $180, and it's got a slab of super foam on the bottom. So ATPU foam. This ride is exciting. This shoe is amazing. Super soft, super springy, pretty traditional geometry, but just an amazing daily trainer. Next up are long run shoes. So the long run is my favorite run of the week. Now, what do I look for in a long run shoe? Well, first and foremost, it needs to be comfortable. Next up, it needs to have ample cushioning, so I don't want to feel the midsole foam flattening out and me bottoming out at the end of the run. And last of all, I need to feel quite efficient in the shoe. So I need to feel like that the shoe can tick along quite easily and sort of assist me moving forward rather than hamper me. Now, my favorite 3 long run shoes of the year are the Nike Vomero Plus. So I absolutely love this shoe. So I didn't expect it to be a long run shoe of mine, but I've tried it out in a few long runs, and it really just ticks all those boxes I mentioned. Nice big slab of this ZoomX foam, heaps of protection from the road. It's soft without being soft and squishy, so you do feel quite efficient, and it's got some nice geometry just to help those tick the legs over. And this one, yeah, super duper comfortable. Next one is the Hoka Rocket X3. So you're probably saying, hey, that's a race day shoe, but the way, or throughout my testing and the way I've run in this shoe, I didn't really like it at those race paces, and I started using it as a long run shoe because it does tick all the boxes. And as a long run shoe, I absolutely love this. So it's quite stable, so very safe, super comfortable, and super efficient. So yeah, great mix of foams here, great geometry, and this shoe was pretty much my go-to in my big marathon blocks this year. So once I realised I couldn't use it, I didn't really like it for race pace, this was pretty much my number one long run shoe I'd rely on once I had some marathon efforts or some speed injected into those long runs. Last one I will mention is the Dynafish Xiaonian. So if you've been tracking my reviews this year, you know that this one currently sits at the top of the leaderboard, but this shoe obviously will come with some huge hype from China, coming at a ridiculously low price point, but this shoe so light, so it weighs lighter than most race day shoes out in the market. Huge slab of foam, so very protected from the road, and it's just got this beautiful early stage rocker. So This shoe is buttery smooth and you can just tick the legs over so easily, and that just makes it perfect for the long run. Next up is Max Cushion. So I use these shoes mainly for my recovery run. So when the legs are absolutely beat up and I just need to get out for a run, I need to help the recovery process and just tick the legs over. So I don't want to feel anything from the road, no impact at all. I want to feel safe, so they need to feel semi-stable. And also, they can't be an effort to run in either. So they need to tick the legs over a little bit easier. I don't want to be doing extra work to tick the legs over because I'm already beat up. So my 3 favourite or Max Cushion or recovery shoes for the year, I will say. So first shoe I'm going to mention is actually, I don't have it here with me either, and that is the Mizuno Neo Vista 2. I know you might say that could be in the super trainer category, but it's not the way that I've used it. For me this year it's more of a recovery shoe. So super high stack, it's got a nylon plate through it, but super soft, super bouncy. When the chips are down on the Monday, the legs are tired, you're beat up. It's also a really fun shoe to run in as well. So it actually throws a little bit of motivation into the run because you get to run in such a fun shoe. The next one I'll mention is the Mizuno Wave Sky 9. So if you've been following my reviews this year, you know that I absolutely love this shoe. So this one, I loved how these two foams work together. So really unique ride. It was like, it was soft, smooth and stable, but without being soft and sinky. It's got a nice little nitro pop about it, but I found this ride absolutely amazing. It just suited the way that I run and had really nice geometry just to tick those legs over really nicely. I loved using this for a wide variety of runs, not just also recovery runs, but it also worked for me on long runs and most of those daily miles as well. But yeah, great Max Cushion shoe, this one. And last but not least, I think is the recovery king for this year, and that is the Nike Vomero Premium. So this shoe, out of this world, crazy innovation have gone into this one. 2 big air zoom units at the front and at the back, but this shoe, although it's quite heavy, it's pretty much effortless to run in. So you just let the pods do the work. You just tick the legs over and you just bounce down the road, and it's pretty stable for me as well. So a super safe shoe, but this one for me is my favourite recovery shoe of 2025. So next up are super trainers. So for me, a super trainer is a training shoe with some super properties. So they've either stolen some super foam out of a super shoe, or they include like a carbon plate or a nylon plate or something like that. But it's also suitable to train in as well. So a super trainer needs to be versatile as well. Now my 3 favourite super trainers of the year, first up is a shoe that I've already mentioned to date, and that is the Dynafish Xiao Nian. So there's not a single thing that this shoe can't do. So it feels great to jog in, and it can pretty much handle all of those workouts. They can go super fast, you can race in the shoe, and as I said, you can go long in it as well. It doesn't have a carbon plate in it, but it's got a huge slab of super foam with some brilliant geometry in the shoe. The next one I'll mention is the Li-Ning Fidian 5 Challenger. So still reviewing this one, but I think I've got about 60 kilometers on the shoe, but it has really impressed me. So this shoe has got super foam. It's also got a carbon plate. It's super versatile, so it feels great to jog in. You can race in this shoe as well, and I've also ticked the box for the long run. So this is a super smooth, amazing shoe that comes in at an amazing price point. Last but not least, and probably my favorite super trainer of the year, I don't have it with me, but you'll probably know what this one is, and this is the Kiprun KD900 X2. So I absolutely love that shoe. It comes in at an amazing price point. I think $180 here in Australia, but it can handle anything that you throw at it. So it's got a slab of super foam, so ATPU foam. It's got a really flexible carbon plate, but the ride on that shoe, so much energy return, so much bounce, so much propulsion, and it's just so smooth. So next up are race day shoes. Now, the 3 shoes that I'm going to mention are pretty much the only releases this year that genuinely wowed me, that I thought, yes, I definitely want to race in this shoe. Now, they are, first and foremost, the Hoka Cielo X1 2.0. So I wasn't really expecting much out of Hoka this year due to their training range, which always disappoints me. But this shoe, once I got it on the foot, the first run I done in this shoe, I was blown away. And just by the power that I got out of the forefoot, it gave me vibes of the original Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro one that I absolutely love, and also a little bit of the Vaporfly one, of just the power that I could get out of the forefoot. The geometry, beautifully paired with this nice, soft, squishy foam. I absolutely love this shoe. Blew me away. Having said that though, I didn't do a race in this shoe. Lots of 5K races in it, but not a proper race that I considered for the year. But yeah, really enjoyed this one. Next up is the Asics Meta Speed Ray Tokyo. So this shoe, it wowed me because it was just so light. I can't still believe how light the shoe is. And this big slab of this FF Leap foam. So running in this shoe, super soft, super squishy, super bouncy. So I absolutely loved it, and I loved the geometry. I felt super propulsive in it. And I did choose to run in this shoe, or race in this shoe, for the Berlin Marathon. Now that was a mistake from my part, because in the end it was just too unstable. I'm not a strong enough runner to handle the shoe this light and soft for that long. But this shoe, from half marathon under that, this thing is an absolute weapon. I also need to mention those other two shoes, so the Sky Tokyo and the Edge Tokyo. They are not going to be in my list because for some reason I just don't quite enjoy those shoes as much as I enjoy this. The combination of the turbo foam and the leak foam, I feel like a delayed response or a delayed bounce in those shoes, just minimal. But for me, those shoes just don't quite work for me, but this shoe really ticked my box. Last shoe, or my favorite race day shoe of the year, and I think this is the fastest shoe on the planet, and it is the Puma or Nitro Elite Fast R3. I think that's the name, can't remember. But this shoe for me, at my age, it still gave me a half marathon PB, which I didn't think was possible. So I can't explain how fast this shoe is. So it just feels like it is ripping the ground behind you. So soft, bouncy, responsive, but I think it's all got to do with this huge sweeping rocker and this extended carbon plate. So it feels like you're grabbing more of the road and ripping it behind you, but I absolutely love running in this shoe. Although the Achilles and the ankles don't love it too much, it does get a little bit unstable at the rear, and I'm a little bit too scared to use this one for the marathon. But anything under that, man, this thing is an absolute speed machine and my favorite race day shoe of the year. Next up are my biggest disappointments of the year, or biggest fails, or bricks. Now, my decisions here are heavily influenced on the amount of money the brand tries to charge for the shoe in relation to how it performs. So the common theme with these shoes I'm about to mention is they are super expensive and the performance is absolutely mediocre. So the first one I'll mention is the Hoka Clifton 10. So daily trainer, I know price point in the US, it's not too bad, but here in Australia, it's priced super high. So it's creeping up to $300 these days, not quite, just a bit under. But the foam that they use in this shoe, it's 5 years behind everything else. So it's just an EVA foam, like with a little bit of zing, a little bit of a supercritical EVA maybe, but for the price you're trying to charge from this shoe, there's way better options out there. And yeah, they just need to get out of the Stone Age as Hoka and start delivering us some decent foam in these daily trainers. Next up is a shoe that I don't have with me because I've already sold it on the marketplace. I did have a pretty good experience in the first run, or I was trying to kind of work it out, and I was like, it's not too bad. And that is the Brooks Hyperion Max 3. So that shoe, astronomical price, but for a light guy like me, I could not get any compression out of that foam whatsoever. So it obviously is designed for the heavier runner to get any squish or any bounce out of the shoe, but for me, it was just a really bottom heavy brick that used really thick materials. The design concepts are there, super foam in it, couldn't feel the super foam, it just feels like wood under my foot, just a brick. But anyway, for me, did not match the price they were going to charge to the level of performance. I can understand there are runners out there that probably would like it, as I mentioned, heavier runners, but for me, a big fail. Last one I'm going to mention is the biggest fail of the year for me, the biggest brick, and that is the Asics Sonic Blast. So for me, I was super excited about the release of this shoe. I was kind of expecting it was going to be the new version of the Magic Speed, or take over the Magic Speed. I was excited about this new FF Turbo Squared foam. Got this shoe early. First run in it, I was like, oh, gee, it's a bit firm, a bit harsh underfoot. Let me try it. Maybe it's going to take a few more runs to break in. And it just didn't change. It is just firm. So for a little light guy like me, I cannot compress this foam whatsoever. The geometry, or it's really stiff, really late rocker. So it's quite hard to get onto. And for the price that they're charging, say $300 for this shoe, it's ridiculous. So for me, this is the biggest brick and fail of the year. And last but not least, the shoe of the year. So we're going to go straight to the Runner leaderboard. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what the Runner leaderboard is, it's shoes that make it to a full review. So usually with training shoes, I try to get them to at least 70 kilometers minimum. So maybe up to 100 kilometers, even more if I can. But it's quite tricky just depending on the amount of kilometers that I can get into the shoe, and also how good of a feel I've got for the shoe. And then for race shoes as well, I try to get at least 30 kilometers or a couple of good sessions in those shoes for their specific purpose before I deliver a score. Now, scores are out of 10, so for value, for money, for weight, outsole, upper, and ride. So total all up, and this is what we get. So the 3 best shoes of the year, straight there, and I've already mentioned all those shoes already. So third place, the Puma Velocity 4, absolutely amazing daily trainer, easy shoe to recommend for everyone. If you've got that narrow foot or a normal foot, it's definitely a must. Next up, my favourite ride of the year, so the Kiprun KD 900 X2, absolutely love that shoe. If they just fix the sizing issue, fix the upper, that'd probably be my shoe of the year. I absolutely love it. And the number 1 spot, thoroughly deserved, come out of nowhere, the old Dynafish Xiaonian, or I think they call it the baby catfish. So this come with some super hype around it, crazy cheap price, big slab of super foam, light as a race day shoe, feels great to jog in, you can do all your workouts in it, you can do a long run in it, you can even race in it. It just ticks all the boxes, and as I said, they're not trying to charge through the roof through it. Well, some other companies have got this shoe now and they're trying to throw a little bit extra on the top. But this one, thoroughly deserved, the Runner 2025 Shoe of the Year. But anyway, guys, that's it from me. That is my best shoes of 2025. Now, you're probably wondering, what about the Mega Blast? What about the Super Blast 2? What about the Evo SL? Well, I do acknowledge that they are great shoes and they will probably feel better for most people than what they will for me. But most of those, the common thing with those shoes is the foams are quite firm, especially for me as a lighter guy. So it was hard for me to actually compress those foams. Yes, they are great shoes, but for me they weren't amazing. But I do acknowledge that they are. So all those shoes that I mentioned in my other categories, I'd prefer running in those than the 3 big dogs that everyone raves on about. But anyway, guys, that's it from me. Any questions you've got regarding anything else, if you feel free to let me know what your favourites of 2025 are, I'd love to read those in the comments below. Thanks for your support during the year. I really appreciate it. And have a safe and happy Christmas out there for everybody. And we'll see you next time.